All right, here we go. Welcome to episode number 24 of the Soul Rollers podcast. My name is Jackson Gage. I'm here with William, Dennis, and we're here for another week of talking about jiu-jitsu and life and self-mastery. Before we get started, thanks for everybody who's been sharing our content that we just started putting up on Instagram. Some of you guys have been sharing what we're putting up, and we appreciate that because that, obviously helps us get in front of more people. And, Instagram likes it when you share our shit, and so do we. So thank you very much. And if you haven't checked out our IG page, the content is pretty dope. So you should go check it out. And Soul Rollers _JJ. And real quick shout out to Dorothy. This is my first shout out. Dorothy. Hello, Dorothy. She watches us on if we don't put the YouTube video up, then she'll hit me up. Hey, I know you put up the podcast, but I like looking at you guys. So can you put the YouTube video up? So Dorothy, thank you for that, because you keep me on top of my YouTube game. If you haven't checked out our YouTube channel, which not that many people have, it's Soul Rollers JJ or Soul Rollers Jiu-Jitsu as well. We just throw these episodes up on there in case you want to watch them. But Dorothy, thank you for this hat. Dorothy sent me a hat, and it's a dope hat, and I appreciate it. And thank you. You're awesome. So I'm wearing it right now, as you can see on the YouTube video.
Yeah, she's super supportive and encouraging, and just, very positive and really a wonderful person. So I'm grateful that, she's able to connect and share her love and support. And so super grateful for her.
Yeah, exactly. And she doesn't train jiu-jitsu, but she loves the message. Yeah. She loves the message. But William said, come in rivalry and say hello. Come watch a class or something. William will be there.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a safe place, always.
Yeah. So there's that. And then quick shout out to our boy D for coming on last week. That was a fun episode. It was great talking with you, D. Great dude. Fits right into what we're doing here. So we appreciate you, man. William.
Yeah, truly, he's a soul roller at heart, someone that is very relatable. You know what I mean? He's a dad. He's working full time. He's in his 40s, but really asking more of himself and becoming a better version of himself every day. How is that not relatable? You could put yourself in so many circumstances. Well, I work a lot, or man, I got a family. I'm married, or, ooh, man, I'm older. I'm in my 40s. I can't move that way. It's like, really, like, what excuse? And he's pushing himself every day. You should follow him on Instagram, and you'll see that he's working out. He's asking more of himself, and he's pushing himself to new levels, and in many areas of life, not just jiu-jitsu. And that's the thing, is it's a byproduct. Like, you begin to build self-confidence and belief in yourself, and then you stretch yourself in other areas. We talk about this all the time with how this podcast is impacting us, and I just think that he's definitely, like, he really connects with what we're trying to portray with Soul Rollers, and why we're trying to portray it in the way that we are, because it's very inclusive. There's so much space for anyone in any walk of life. It doesn't matter. There's a space for you, and you can do this. And I think he just embodies that completely. And even with the pace, he's saying, just go at your pace, just start, and even what brought him to jiu-jitsu and his story through his son and everything, it's very inspiring. And just grateful that he came on and supported us and allowed us to hear his story. And I can go all day. I'm really proud that I get to train with him, and we get to have him on the podcast. So I hope people got the value out of it that I did. Yeah,
that's episode number 23. If you want to check out D De Leon, and you can check him out on Instagram at D De Leon 52. And like William brought up a point that I was going to say, but you got it before I did, is that, you can check it, D's 42, 43, I think. And same thing. You go, and he's getting ready for a tournament, for a competition. And he's full-time dad, full-time job, training jiu-jitsu. And then you'll see him late at night on his story in his garage, lifting weights. He's working out. You know what I mean? So, and excuses, all those excuses you name, man. I know so many people with all of those excuses, well, I got my job. All I can do is work and go home and watch TV. Is all the fuck I can do. Can't do other shit than that. And then I can do some drinking on the weekend. Can't miss while I'm drinking. Got to make sure I go drink with my friends, and got to make sure I get off work and watch my fucking Netflix series. I don't got time for any other shit, as you slowly deteriorate and walk toward death. You know what I mean? And then you got guys like D out here killing it, and all these other dudes who, especially, man, just this niche right here, man, Soul Rollers, Yeah. So anyhow, thank you, D. Appreciate it, man. We can sit here. We'll just make an episode talking about D. Oh yeah, D was born in 1978. Shit.
Hey, dude, he's amazing. I'm proud to like the fact that we get to have these types of people in our lives and each other and really live into and create more value and improve our relationship and learn from each other. Dude, I could do this all day. I could talk about this all day. And I'm grateful to have you guys in my life. And I'm grateful to have jiu-jitsu in my life. And I'm grateful to be in this place in life to be able to share this stuff. So it's valuable, man. And it's how you apply it, so it is that's what you create in your life. So
yeah, exactly. So thank you, D. And then or something else I was going to mention. Oh, this is random. I mean, not random. It's jiu-jitsu, but it's not about D.
Well, shit.
Damn it. Fucking this episode.
Love you, D. Gotta move on.
Yeah, we got to move on, D. Sorry, bro. D throws the phone right now. Fuck this podcast.
It's like assholes. That's it.
I'm going to lift weights in my garage. Fuck these motherfuckers. That's all they're saying about me.
Well, lift some weights. I'm going to crush you next time I roll with them. He did last night.
Yeah, good. but that's good, man. He's getting ready for that tournament. But oh, this is off topic, but BJJ Fanatics having another sale. Well, it ends tonight. It's 40% off. By the time you hear this, it's probably over. But so whenever I try to skip those because you try to skip too much. I try to skip those. But right now I'm trying to, because I've been working on half guard a lot, and I'm like, man, I want to put some time into some type of open guard. Just start developing some open guard I feel comfortable with, and because we've been doing a lot of like X guard and single leg X. Sweeps and things and entries. And I really like that shit. I feel really comfortable with it. So I've been looking at, and then we were working omoplatas from collar sleeve. So I'm like, oh, fuck them. Look at collar sleeve. So what they have on collar sleeve on BJJ Fanatics, what do they have? So I'm looking, and then I see, Mikey Musumeci, however the fuck you say it. You have his, he's got a collar sleeve on there. So I'm like, okay, let me go look at the preview on YouTube. And so, watching him teach the collar sleeve, and holy fuck, bro. Like, out of all the BJJ Fanatics, I got a whole fucking library of those motherfuckers. I don't have them all, but I do have quite a bit. And this kid is a fucking good teacher, man. Like, if you can get your hand on one of his videos, holy shit, man. Like, he breaks it down and simplifies it at a really deep level. You know what I mean? So he can teach you to understand it in a fucking video. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you watch it and you're like, that's a lot of shit. Sometimes you watch one and it's like 3 hours, move after move after move after move. He'll take like one fucking move that will make you good as fuck, and he'll teach you that. You know what I mean? Through the whole thing, and just teach you everything about it and the fulcrum and the fucking way you're moving arms and where there's so much depth to it. And I'm like, dude, this kid's a genius, So anyhow, I just wanted to like shout him out for that, because my mind was blown. I was so in depth. I was like, holy shit, I was just blown away by that. So yeah, if you can get one of his videos, or if there's something he's teaching on there that you want to buy, bro, he's the dude to purchase. So anyhow, yeah.
Well, to build on that, one thing I was doing is I purchased my thing is close guard, and I'm trying to stay focused on that and not get distracted by other things in jiu-jitsu, because there's so many fun things you can learn. And we've been doing this like open guard stuff and passing and different stuff. And I've been trying to switch stuff up and just kind of play and have some fun lately. And I feel like I've been getting distracted by just playing around with the new stuff we're learning. And I'm not like, and even D mentioned it to me yesterday, bringing him up again. He's like, nah, I'm going to get back to my game plan. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'm probably, screwing around too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's fun. It's like, this is cool. Like, I'm like, yeah, I'm screwing around too much. I got to stay focused. So, is it like, for me, I was wondering when you're sharing that, like you were saying about half guard, is it easy to get distracted and say, I'm going to start learning some other stuff? Maybe you hit a plateau, like close guard, you hit a plateau with half guard. How do you stay committed to your game while also stretching yourself and learning new things? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good, I've been trying to wrap my mind around that. I actually watched a video last night before bed of this black belt dude, and he was talking about that. And he was talking about not getting wrapped up in one game too much. He was like, he was saying that, and I'll send it to you later. It's a really good video. You'll enjoy it. He was saying like, it's good to explore other guards and whatnot. And mainly because, well, for me, like I look at like some of these good black belts, and they're pretty fucking good from a lot of places, And he was saying like your game really expands when you spend time doing one guard for a while, and then then you put some time into another guard, and then all of a sudden those two guards connect, and then you do it with another guard, and then all of a sudden they connect. You might keep your closed guard as your main game, but you're adding on to it. And as you do that, you start realizing shit you didn't realize. You start realizing things that weren't, in your sight before. You're like, oh fuck, I can do this if I try this, or this takes me right into this submission, or I can sweep them and get back into this, or whatever, But and I believe that you want to have like your main game that and this is just us figuring this shit out. I'm speaking as I'm figuring it out in my mind, but you want to have your, something that you feel confident, comfortable with, that if maybe you were going to use that when you compete, or use that when you go against somebody who is going to be a really hard role for you. But then you want some other, a secondary game that you can start getting good at as well, so that, you're multifaceted, so because and what that black belt was saying, he was like, it makes jiu-jitsu really fun when you spend a lot of time doing one guard, and then you're like, oh shit, I get to try this brand new guard. I'm going to start working on this for a little while. It's like a new car, and you get to do that and start figuring it out and learning it. And then you're like, I want to try something else. But you keep your main, whatever you feel really good at, you keep working on that too, but you can try other shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think
to add to it and expand as you grow in jiu-jitsu,
Yeah,
so.
I think that's important. What you're saying is like, your foundation, but be willing to grow around that and build on it, and a typical, the black belts, man, they are smart, a lot of times what came up for me when you're sharing that is like, I've noticed when coaches coaching like a different blue belt that's pretty higher, like advanced, and he's like, okay, he knows their strengths, and he's like, you're not allowed to use this for a little while. I want you to work on this. That's a weaker point of the game, and so that can evolve like them into being a stronger player. So I've seen him do that before. I'm like, why wouldn't he let him do half guard anymore? And it's like, because he knows like, we're good there. I need you to like grow here, and so it's kind of that too.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
Yeah, that sound. And then also in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, well, I feel comfortable. I'm at my level at half guard. I'm not fucking obviously not great fucking black belt level, but when I get into half guard, I feel pretty comfortable. If I get the knee shield and a collar grip, I know what to do. So I feel very comfortable there. So I find myself, especially in hard rolls, boom, I slide right into that motherfucker every time, and I'm like, well, what if I felt this comfortable with open guard?
Yeah.
How good would I be then? How much better would my game be if I got myself to the point where I'm comfortable with De La Hiva and fucking, collar sleeve and all that shit, and some lasso, and, you start setting up different things. And all of a sudden now you're like, okay, now I'm just as comfortable with half guard as I am with this other guard now, so what else am I uncomfortable with? And I think you can slowly expand and bolster your game if you get good. Cause when I see, like I was saying, man, when I see these like good black belts, they're fucking good everywhere. You know what I mean? They're pretty much good everywhere. Like, for example, there's one, there's a school north of here. Dude is, been a black belt for, I don't know how long he's been a black belt, but you can tell he's competed a lot, and he just does half guard. He's fucking half guard specialist. And then when I watch his like classes and stuff that I see online and shit, mainly that's all he's teaching. All his tutorials, everything he's doing is half guard. It's all half guard. And I'm like, man, that's good. But I don't know if I'd want to train there, because I want to learn everything in jiu-jitsu. You know what I'm saying? So since his specialty, he spent this whole time doing half guard, that's all he's really good at teaching. No offense. I don't know. That's all I see him teaching, and I feel like if one of my professors went there, they could teach half guard as good as him, but they could teach every fucking position at a high level. You know what I mean? And I someday would like to be able to teach people more than just one game, but I could be wrong, but who fucking knows? I'm just trying to figure it out as I go along.
It also goes back to what, one of the things I acknowledged you for today was when I got real excited about something I'm working on, I'm telling you, oh, this is what I'm going to do. You're like, okay, that's a giant vision. So like you help me bring it back down to like, what's the first step? Right. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. Like you get super excited, right? Jiu-jitsu is something you could just, wow. And for black belts, yeah, they have mastered multiple facets and fundamentals. And so they're able to artistically explore different directions more freely. And so one of the things about the videos, like the BJJ Fanatics, I bought that close guard training, and but I did it when I was a white belt because I started getting interested in close guard, and I watched the whole thing, and I remember watching it, but I couldn't take it in. right? It was just too much information. It was like trying to drink a waterfall, so to speak. I'm like, I can't, like, it's too much. And now I noticed when I went back to it and watched it again recently, I'm like, oh, it makes more sense now because I can take a little bit more in. I'm not saying I can take all of it in still. And I think that's what maybe we can misperceive with black belts is, man, they know everything. And it's like, yeah, but I think they did take a path to that, right? They worked through it to get there. And so, I think we got to like make it smaller and go, yeah, we have a game like we're talking about, and then we're kind of adding on things here and there, but always in a way to attach it to what we're already trying to build, I think. And then before you know it, years down the road, we're in a place where maybe, and that's one thing also that comes up is the guys are going down to San Diego this weekend to cross train at Alliance. And one thing that, Professor always shares when he gets back, it's not that like he brags about this or anything he did right. He's like, oh, this is something I noticed that I was struggling with, or I've been avoiding, or I haven't learned enough. And he's already working on that and teaching us that. And I'm like, oh, cool. So he's still learning. He's still expanding his base and foundation of jiu-jitsu. And he's always willing to like find weaknesses or areas where he can get stronger. And I'm like, dang, that's self-reflection, right? That's real growth. Because when you do that, that makes everyone better around you. And so I think we could use that and like, remember, hey, you're right where you need to be. Stay here. Don't get caught up in like, man, I need to know open guard and De La Riva and lapel. And, yeah, take a breath and remember, like, you're supposed to be, keep working your game. And but yeah, learning from the black belts and saying, hey, yeah, I want to structure my game, like look for that future vision and then work backwards and actually be where you're at. Don't get ahead of yourself. Don't set too high expectations. Don't get off track. Don't get distracted. Don't get overwhelmed. And I think it all ties together.
Yeah. And do what is keep it fun, keep it fun. So for me, like I said earlier, like for me, it's like I'm like at this moment, I'm like, okay, at this juncture, I'm really fucking pumped up. Like I'm super excited to get into class to work on fucking to work on collar sleeve. Like if you feel that, like I feel very pumped up about that. And I also saw another, what's this guy's name? Oh fuck, I forgot his name. This other black belt who was teaching this seminar on half guard that I was watching, and he was talking about how like half guard and close guard, those are close range guards. And he said, you got to get strong at those. But as he said, it's also good to develop a long range guard before they get to your close range guard, because if you can dominate them before they even get in close, then you don't got to even worry about it. But if they do, then, they're walking into they're coming into some deadly territory they don't even know about, you know what I mean? They don't know you're there. But yeah, it just depends on what interests you, where your passion is, how much you want to learn. And yeah, I've seen the same thing with like, with my professor too, man. They're always freaking learning. Like before class the other day, he got there early and he had on his AirPods and he was watching that Musumeci, that his new, like the Matrix fucking shit, he's sitting there watching, not listening to anybody. He's sitting there, like a kid on his back watching, learning, studying before class because he wants to, not because that's what he's going to teach us, because he's trying to get better. And, they say that, we've said this before, but I saw it again yesterday. They say when you get to black belt, jiu-jitsu starts over, you start learning again. So, and that's when the real learning begins.
Yeah. So, and that, it makes me think about like with life and everything. It's, man, like make sure you're committing yourself to what truly matters, because, to get to that kind of a level or to get to that kind of experience in life, you need to be present with where you are, set correct expectations and grow at, the pace you're supposed to, right? I was talking to my professor the other day, yesterday after class, and, we were talking about, jiu-jitsu is a tool. Like just because you have a black belt or just because you do jiu-jitsu doesn't make you a good person. It's an opportunity for you to use the tool to better yourself and create characteristics in you that allows you to be a good person on the mats, just as much as it allows you to perform better at the martial arts on the mat, right? And so it's just an opportunity to grow. But in order to step into the growth and make that happen, you have to, apply effort and dedication and commitment to that ideal or to that practice, right? And so using these, like, which we always point to, which is what soul rulers do, like if you're growing in one area of your life, how can you apply that to other areas of your life? And I really think that that's just like personal development has been really key for us, right? and using that and applying it and connecting it together. Like foundationally, we were really kind of more focused on personal development over the last 6-7 years, if you ask me. But now we're stepping into jujitsu, which is just another tool for human optimization, if you'd call it that,
Yeah.
And somehow that's like another connecting piece that is built on top of the foundation of personal development for us. And I think that's just like what we're saying with, your closed guard or whatever it is, and you can layer it, like with jujitsu, like having a better open guard. If I work De La Hiva, coach did a really good, like solid training on De La Hiva, and I got really confident with it. And I felt really good. And I enjoy it. And so by the time they get, to a closer guard, like you're saying, like a very, close contact guard, they're already tired because they had to work through my De La Hiva. And so that benefits me, right? I'm making them work at each level and each layer of my game, or not, or they're just smashing me and I'm like, sorry, I suck. But depends on who I roll with. But same thing with life. Like when we're interacting externally with life, like we're going out there trying to create a business or doing something, we need layers of character. Like I don't give up, I show up, I have integrity, or whatever it is. You build these through the struggles of getting better at jiu-jitsu, doing personal development and committing to it and sticking to your daily practices in personal development, like journaling, meditation, all these things that we do. Same thing with you with nutrition and diet. Like you really are great about like testing yourselves in those areas and pushing yourself to grow and learn and take part in growing yourself and being healthier, and when we do that, it gets us ready for what's coming in life, which we never know what it will be. Maybe it's a loss of a family member. Maybe it's some difficulty that we didn't expect, a loss of career, whatever, right? But because we've strived and struggled in voluntary things, like we put ourselves in difficulty, like, it's going to be hard. Like I busted my lip, my ear, like the earlobe that connects to it feels like it's getting ripped right there. It hurts so bad. I'm like, man, I'm putting myself through this struggle in order to really like gain some character so that when other unknown difficulty comes in my life, I have the confidence to go, fuck, this is tough, but I have what it takes to get through this, right? The belief in yourself. And I really think that's part of what it takes to grow yourself in jiu-jitsu and stick with it, to grow through the belts and through the levels and build your game, so to speak.
Yeah. Building yourself as you build your game. Couple things on that. Putting yourself through struggle regularly is, there's that one quote somewhere, I think Joe Rogan said it, something about how, jiu-jitsu makes it so that, you struggle hard here on the mats and it makes the struggles of life much easier. And there's another kind of micro lesson from what you said that happened with me as an example, or just something I kind of observed. There's this purple belt named Flex that, he competes a lot. He's been training a long time, really technically sound dude. Flex, what's up, man? He came in the other night. He doesn't always train here at my school. He's within the Stronghold family, but he's under Mike, but he doesn't train at Point Loma all the time. And he came in and we were training. He reminded me like before we started rolling, he was kind of like, okay, what are you working on? And I didn't think of anything at the moment, so we kind of just rolled. But we had talked afterward and he was like, yeah, man, this is where, rolling with people is where you want to like test shit out. This is where you want to test things out. So, and I thought about it and I'm like, yeah, that's true, man. I mean, I already know that, but how many people go into roles wanting to win the role? You know what I mean? How many people want to win the fucking role? Even you listening, if you're listening, do you want to win your roles? And that's a mindset, I think, as you move up the belts, that drops off. And you realize like, let me just try what the fuck I'm working on today. Let me put myself in this voluntary struggle of collar sleeve, which I know is going to get passed. Just like my half guard got passed for a fucking year straight. This collar sleeve is about to be passed for a year, for however long, even if it's just a month, I do it. But, and that's how you're going to get better at jiu-jitsu, by just, putting yourself into the struggle, even on a small level of trying new shit. It doesn't matter if you win the goddamn role. You're not getting anything out of fucking winning the role with your fucking training partner, other than, I mean, you might feel good about yourself. Like, yeah, I fucked him up, but you're not going to gain anything from that. Put yourself in a bad position and learn how to get out of it, and that's how you're going to get better. And eventually you're going to be really fucking good if you keep doing that, So, and then as far as the trying new things and shit, I just wanted to tell the listeners about the yesterday I went to this holistic health clinic, and we were just talking about my energy levels, and we were discussing different shit and different natural remedies and things like that. And we came up with vitamin vitamin B12 injections, and because most of us are deficient in vitamin B. So for one, look up the health benefits of vitamin B12. But it was fairly fucking affordable. It's like $140 for 50 weeks worth, and it's one shot per week, and you give it to yourself. You can go in there; they'll charge you $5 to give you the shot, but I'll just do it myself. And I took that shot yesterday, and I felt fucking amazing. I swear to God, I felt like I hadn't felt life felt like it felt when I was like 10 or 11. You know what I mean? Like when you just feel amazing, like your body hasn't been soaked with all this fucking shit and poisons and, you know, depleted of all your minerals. And, you know, you're walking around in this fucking poisonous concrete jungle that we live in. You know what I mean? You know, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but that shit, I was walking through Target. I was alert. I was feeling good. I felt like I was winning at I was like, goddamn, anything I attempt right now, I'm going to fucking succeed at. You know what I mean? And that's just because most of us don't feel as good as we're supposed to feel. Our baseline is not, you know, we're walking around feeling like shit and we don't even know it. It's because we're surrounded by poison. We don't have the nutrients that we need in our bodies. So, I mean, I'm always on a mission to feel good as fuck. And if you're on that same mission, go get some fucking vitamin B12 injections and you'll feel amazing. I'm telling you right now, it's not the same as she was explaining it to me scientifically, why it's not the same as taking a tablet. I've taken B12 tablets and I don't feel like that. And, but I can't explain that shit to you, why it feels so good. But yeah, man, I just want to tell anybody who's looking for that type of feeling, fucking go do it, because that shit was amazing. So anyhow, that's my B12 story for the day.
Nice.
Yeah. No,
that's, you know, improving health, improving your life, improving your relationships, improving your, you know, gratitude and your ability to feel, you know, that's important, you know, all of it. And I think that's, you know, again, it goes back to like being willing to struggle in certain aspects allows you to, you know, really view the other, you know, areas of your life that used to be overwhelming. You know, I was saying this last night to my wife. I'm like, man, next time, every time I catch myself complaining a lot, I'm like, I guarantee you I haven't been working hard enough. You know, I need to get my ass to work. Go work out. If you're bitching and complaining, you need to get your ass out in that garage and fucking work out, and then go to jiu-jitsu and get your ass whooped. And after I'm done doing both of those, I'm like, whew, I don't have the energy to be bitching and complaining and in my head twisting and turning thoughts and going, oh, what if this, you know, all the negativity. I'm like, I'm fucking tired. Brain, shut up. I don't got time for that shit. You know, I'm tired. I'm recovering. I'm working on something that, and I feel good. You know, it's like this mental chatter gets out of hand when we're underperforming, you know, our potential. We're not performing at our best, and our health, it goes along with that. When we're eating nasty shit and we're not drinking water, we're drinking, you know, sodas and bullshit, and we feel like shit. No wonder you're sitting your ass on the couch. You feel like shit. You're not even giving yourself an opportunity to do more and to call out that inner excellence and that inner potential that you have available to you. And what I was preaching about D is he's not sitting there making excuses. Excuses are always focused on the external. I was really struggling this last week with stress and just mental health, you know? And when I talked to my therapist, she said something that really stood out to me. She's like, you're really focused on the external. And I'm like, holy shit, you're not kidding. And what was amazing about that is what I've been doing is really setting my intentions for the day. Like, I want to be loving, lighthearted, joyful, and just deeply grateful. Like, I just really want to feel a lot of gratitude today. And I was driving back yesterday from jiu-jitsu. I had tears in my eyes because I just felt so grateful, like for you and for what we were doing and for jiu-jitsu and for my wife, my kid. And I started to cry. I'm like, hell yeah. I set my intentions for the day and I began generating thoughts and emotions and feelings and actions that magnify those intentions. But yet when we're eating like shit, we feel terrible. We're all tired. We're all sad. We're thinking about negative shit. What happens? We're perpetuating external things that match how we're feeling internally. And we're not taking responsibility for what's going on inside of us. You know, we don't have energy. It's we cultivate energy through our food and through our actions and all the stuff we're doing. And then we are responsible for what we generate from that energy. What are we making with it? You know, are you making negative, grumpy, rude bullshit where you go out and fucking flip people off as you're driving, and that feeds into how you interact with your kids, and then you're judging yourself for being a shitty parent, and you know, it's like a cascade effect. But what we're trying to do is going, shit, let's go do some hard shit and then wear out this brain that's just thinking negative all the time and going, okay, now that I'm tired, how do I want to show up, and you're not overwhelmed by all the negativity. And anytime, just like with excuses, right? Work, family, whatever keeps you from doing good things. It's like, that's always external. This external event's going to make me feel this way, uncomfortable, whatever it is. So I'm going to avoid it. And it's like, fuck your feelings sometimes, like, right? Like, the other day we were training really hard yesterday, and I'm like, hey, tired is a thought. Stop that thought. Stop believing that thought. Let's push, guys. Let's go. And the guys are like, fuck, okay. And they kept doing their push-ups, and it made me go harder too. And so I'm like, fuck that thought. That doesn't work for me right now. I'm training. I'm working hard. I don't need to be thinking about, I'm tired. What I need to be thinking is like, hey, let's go, move, push, go. I'm calling out more than I think is possible because I'm not holding on to the negativity. And that's something that coach brought up to me the other day. He called me out because I was rolling with him, which isn't an ass kicking, like he just smushes me into the mats, and I feel like I'm trying to carry his weight the whole time. And I'm like, this is terrible. Like, I feel like a complete buffoon. And there was a point in time where he was smushing my stomach so much, and I'm like, oh, my brain is like, dude, this sucks. I don't even want to do this. I just want to tap. And I'm like, fuck you, brain. I'm not tapping to pressure. Like, no, you just deal with it, and we're going to work our way out of this. And I was grateful for him to apply that pressure so that I can dig deeper. Right. But afterwards, like, he's like, hey, I noticed when, like, because one of us started standing, one of us started seating, like the seated guard, and he's like, hey, do you want up or down? And I'm like, I'm going to end up on my, I'm going to end up down there anyways. Might as well just start there. And he's like, what kind of mindset is that? You're already starting thinking that you're going to, I'm going to take you down, yada, yada. And I'm like, dang, you're right. He's like, we all do that. We all set ourselves up that way sometimes. So I just wanted to make you aware of it. And I'm like, dang, you're right. Like, he's like, make it fun. You're like, hey, I'll stand up. We're here to solve problems, and it doesn't matter what kind of problems or where we're at when we're starting to solve the problems. But the truth is we're just having fun solving problems. And I was like, damn, like, well said, and it's on me to come with a stronger, more powerful mindset, right? It's my responsibility to do that, to commit to do that. And sometimes we need friends in our lives or coaches or someone to call that out of us, or help us reflect on that. So that's some of the stuff that I've been deeply thinking about lately and struggling with. And I wanted to share that. So I don't know what you take from that stuff.
Oh, that's sorry. That's all good stuff, man. A couple things with that pop up in my mind. I just realized that every time after you finish, I always say the exact same thing. So a couple things with that pop up in my mind. I try. It's to listen to someone talk and then to mentally take notes within it and then respond. That's that's a skill too. Like, you got to practice that shit.
Especially when I talk, dude. Yeah. I can know. Just ask my wife. She'd be like, do you ever shut up? Like, no.
It's true. Like, you'll be talking and I'll be memorizing points. And by the time I get to like the fifth point, I got to start over. My fifth point just became my first one. I forgot everything else I just was going to say, motherfucker. But it's good because it's sharpening my communication skills too. So, and I forgot everything. So what was I talking about? Oh, okay. First off, as far as the personal growth part that you were talking about and the thoughts, I'll get to that in a second, but just back real quick to the game portion, that I just wanted to throw in how expansive everything is. We've also been working on, like different types of guard passing and like just the movement from guard passing, like just the movement, just like pummeling your legs and moving from side to side and just all the little details just with that before you even hit the knee slice or, you know what I mean? Before you even hit anything, just the movement. And that has really opened my eyes to like the depth of everything. You're just like, fuck, man, it's so cool because damn, now I want to work this shit during practice. I want to try to work this. So, and you got to pick what you're going to work. And so it's just an ever expanding, never ending web of learning, man. So, and anyhow, just want to say that, but, also that's a pretty cool story. Yeah. About Victor. That's true, man. And in going into roles, sometimes it's good to pick the shit you're weak at, the shit you're not good at. Like, okay, fuck, I'll try to pass your guard, professor. Go ahead, sit down. I'm going to try to pass this shit, but then it's still in your mind, you're like, fuck, as soon as we make contact, I'm getting swept. Fuck,
It's so bad too. It's like, come on, you and I both know that we're just kidding, right? Like, this is kind of silly, but I'll pretend with you. Like, you're just going to pretty much just sweep the hell out of me. And I'm like, fuck, whatever.
Yeah. It's true, man. Fuck.
But that's the voluntary struggle. You need to like go put yourself and get your butt kicked. It's like,
yeah,
all right.
exactly. Yep. You got to do it. So it's fun. But and then yeah, just to reiterate what you were saying, like when you go to, like when your mind is all wound up like that, whether you're like anxious or you're just thinking about a bunch of shit, or, you know, maybe depressed, whatever the fuck it is, which happens to a lot of people, man. You know, I see a ton of people, what you were saying, I see it's more common than not for people to point outside of themselves for their circumstances. Always, you know, oh, I'm in this relationship. This person makes me happy, you know, or I got to find a girlfriend. That'll make me happy. You know, like that's one of the big ones, like that our society has fucked up, you know, like nobody outside of you will ever make you happy. You can get someone, you're still not going to be happy. Nobody can make you happy. That word shouldn't that phrase should be taken out of the goddamn nothing. No one can make you happy. Happiness is completely something that is cultivated within yourself always. And then everything that happens in your life, you're happy because you're already happy. Nothing can make you that way. We fall into this trap of like, oh, like you see a lot of people buying shit. Buying shit will make me happy. Nope. Go ahead. Keep buying shit. Never going to find the happiness you're looking for with that. Get this new car. It's going to make me happy. Nope. It won't make you happy. You got to work on it. And people are scared to work on it within themselves or don't know how, you know, but that's where something like jujitsu and struggle comes in, because, you know, a lot of times we look for this happiness outside of ourselves because our mind is our mind is moving so fast, and we get depressed and anxious, and we're like, what the fuck is life about? What's going on? You start blaming your circumstances. You blame the things outside of you, and then you look for the remedy outside of you, you know, and when both of those things are false. And so, you know, your mind gets all wound up, and going through struggle like jujitsu or working out at the gym or sweating, you know, pushing yourself hard. It's like your mind is like this yarn that's just all fucking wound up, and you go through this struggle and you get out and everything, all the knots are gone. Everything is clear. And when you clear all those knots out of your mind, you become like a conduit for good shit because you're in a good vibration. And when you're working on your own fucking vibration, like your therapist said, you know, like quit looking outside of yourself, work on raising your own vibration regularly. Then everything outside of you starts to match the level of the vibration you have, which goes back to the fact that when you look at your life and your circumstances, that's your vibration creating that. You're responsible for it. If you're not making the money that you want, that's your responsibility. You haven't raised your level. You know, if your life doesn't look like you want it to, if you don't like your relationship, whatever it is, at your core, your vibration and who you are has attracted that stuff in your life. So if you want to change it, you have to do the work on yourself, you know, and as you do that, those things will change. They'll fall off, and things that match your vibration will start to appear in your life. And that's, you know, that's just how it works. You can call it whatever you want, quantum physics, whatever, but that's how it goes down. And then people would say, well, how do I raise my vibration? And me and William would say, go to jujitsu. That's how you raise that motherfucker. You know, that's how I do it. That's the main reason I start. That's as much as I love jujitsu, and, you know, everyone has a reason why they go, I go to raise my vibration mainly because when I'm done with it, because of all that it offers, I feel amazing. And when I feel amazing, I'm able to create amazing, you know, and I'm able to transform my life into what I want it because I feel good. So I just wanted to piggyback off of what you were saying on working on yourself, you know?
Yeah. And that's what you're saying is powerful, because it's like, you know, for one, you got to acknowledge like people, you know, before you can get to start to want to grow and stuff, you got to eliminate all the shit that's just weighing you down, crushing you, you know, so people have been through trauma. You have had shitty stuff happen in your life. Yeah, that sucks. And it's not about us saying, oh, we'll just fucking go to jiu-jitsu and ignore that it all happened. Hell no. Like, you got to acknowledge your shit, you know, face it and, you know, go forward with that. That's where you're meant to be. Just like, you know, you can't avoid your weaknesses in jiu-jitsu. Like, don't avoid it, face it, you know, and don't do it on your own. Get support to do so if you need it. You know, like my professor supports me in teaching me jiu-jitsu because I can't figure it out on my own. My partners, my training partners help me grow by, you know, being mirrors for me where I'm not strong in certain areas. They show me where I'm weak, and I'm like, dang, okay. So you can begin to take on the mindsets and the perspectives of those around you if you have supportive, good people in your life, right? And jiu-jitsu provides that. Again, jiu-jitsu is just a tool. It's an opportunity for you to grow. If the only tool you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So you're going around bashing shit and breaking shit and going, why is my life in shambles? You know, and it's like, okay, have better tools, right? Jiu-jitsu shows us that, where, it's hard to go into a relationship and start doing healing work and work through your shit when you don't have the tools to do so, right? And brain is naturally wired to avoid this shit we're not good at, because that puts us in danger and we need to survive, right? So why do I avoid, trying to pass my professor's guard? Because he's going to rip my head off. It's like, dun, 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 my brain says no. And then it's like in jiu-jitsu, you realize like it's okay to struggle. It's okay to suck. It's okay to learn. It's okay to make mistakes. And we have to have the same space and ability to grow and learn in our life, right? Look at this podcast, dude. How many times have we bumped into external circumstances between you and I that has caused us to go like, we got to pivot. We got to go this way. We got to change this. We got to do it on this day. Nope. We got to do this time. Nope. We need to change. I mean, the external struggles that we face in order for you and I to do this podcast, even though it's fucking so much fun and it makes me so happy and it's so worth it, it still causes, like, in order to get our schedules matching and to do all the things we need to do to make this happen, there's a lot of external stressful events that we can focus on and make negative to keep us from doing this. Same thing with life. Like the shit that comes up with me in marriage. It's like, well, I asked for this to help me become better. It's a declaration like, I'm choosing this struggle to become a better man. And that's what it's about. Same thing with jiu-jitsu. Just use different tools. And maybe jiu-jitsu is not the tool for you. Maybe meditation isn't your jive. Maybe it's something else, but find those tools for you. It's not a one size fits all the time. I still think jiu-jitsu holds inside of it the most space, the most sacred space, the most welcoming space for all practices and all methodologies and all like people. Like, it really is a one size fits all, like truly workable tool that will help you grow if you're willing. The barrier of entry, though, is you must be willing to struggle. You must be willing to face difficulty on a daily basis. And it doesn't get easier as you get better. It gets harder. Who does that? That's such a good barrier for entry, right? Because self-help and personal development, anyone can pick up the books and anyone can, pretend to be following the practices. But common sense isn't always common practice. It's just like what you're saying about, having a game plan every time you go to train. Why don't we do that? Just like coach has told me how many times to bring a camera and record my rolls. Why the fuck don't I do that? Just like I should be journaling after every time I roll and saying what worked well, what didn't work. Why the fuck am I not doing that? What are common practices that if we start to initiate in our lives, we set the intention, we generate the effort and make it happen on purpose, no excuses, no external shit. Life is an inner game, right? Just like jiu-jitsu is, the biggest opponent I go against every day in jiu-jitsu is me. Always. And so if it's an inner game, then why aren't we putting the practices in place that cultivate creation and growth in that inner game, right? Because we're human.
Yeah. And you, what you had said is like, it may not be jiu-jitsu that you're looking for, but also I really believe, especially for people who haven't started or somebody maybe around our age, male or female. And there's so many people who just they still don't know what the fuck to do with their life. And they're 40. You know what I'm saying? They turned 18 and society said, you're an adult now, figure some shit out, and they're 40 now and they're like, fuck, I still can't figure this motherfucker out. Why not? Well, because you probably haven't put yourself through the fucking struggle to be proud of yourself, to make you feel like you're doing something in life. And jiu-jitsu offers you that. So don't think you're past the time where you can do some great shit, because if you go start training jiu-jitsu, that in itself is something great. And you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, yeah, I'm a badass motherfucker. Regardless, you could be a white belt first day and get your ass whooped. You go home with a bruise on your eye. You're like, fuck, I did something. I did something good with my life for fucking once. I did something, you know what I mean? And jiu-jitsu offers you that. So, obviously this show is like, this podcast is one of the biggest parts of it is we're propagating. We're like, we want to, get people into jiu-jitsu just because of what it does for your life, So, I mean, everybody I come in contact with, if they're not training, I'm selling it to them, I'm telling them come train, and it's, most of them won't, but some of them do. And some of them that do love it, Juan, look at Juan Garola. He freaking loves it. He loves it. I don't know he's like, I don't know how old Juan is.
84 or some shit.
Yeah. But yeah, man, just it's you can do something really, really dope with your life. If you're, you know, it reminds me of that movie Fight Club, you know, all these guys, it reminds me exactly of that movie Fight Club, you know, all these guys who were, you know, just working their jobs and living that life of quiet desperation. All of a sudden they get in this fight club and they all come alive. You know, they all of a sudden they have something to live for, you know, because they're bettering themselves. And that's what we're here for, to better ourselves. If you're not taking the steps to better yourself, you're just dying slowly, you know?
Yeah. And think about the duality of that. Like, what do we, you know, life is like, in order to feel like we perceive life through our senses, right? So when I grab this, like, it feels cold. The water feels cold. But the truth is, is that I learned this from that sad guru guy, that fucking cool dude. He's like, you perceive life through that. So you're comparing everything. It's all a comparison game. So this feels cold, but the only reason it feels cold to me is because of the heat of my body. So there's always a variable that kind of throws that off, and it's always a comparison game. But when you're inner, it's like, you know, I'm trying to grow. So when I don't have comparison, or I don't have contrast more than comparison is like judging something as better or worse, you know, and having that preference. But contrast just goes, okay, this is where I am. It finally lets me know where I am. And then this is where I want to be. I want to grow, right? I want to get to this destination, which is what you need for even the GPS, as amazing as Google Maps is. You need those two things. So the duality and what it presents us is like, man, most of the time in my life, there was a time in my life when you and I were really struggling through our retirement, where the only thing I could do was listen to a podcast and take a walk. Like, that's as much activity as I could put out, because I was so depressed. Like, that's it. Like, taking a walk, I was like, holy shit, I can't believe I left my house. Like, I didn't want to leave my house. Like, I just was wrapped up in depression and just overwhelmed. And taking a walk, and I would just listen to 100 podcasts. I listened to so many podcasts. It was nuts. And that's what I'm saying. Like, where's the duality? How do you create healthy duality in your life that gives you that contrast you need to grow, to find a different perspective, right? And to call out what is truly inside you. You know, like, one of the worst moments yesterday, my coach was just smashing me, and he has like the most amazing pressure with like his shoulder, and it was like in my stomach, like below my belly button, just smushing my guts out, you know? And I'm like, this is terrible. But the duality of that is, I'm like, I could quit, I could tap, I'm like, all right, coach, you got me. Or I can go, no, I'm going to dig deep. I'm going to go further. I'm going to figure this out. Right. And when I left the mat that day, I'm like, holy shit, I'm a man that doesn't quit when it's hard. I keep going. I keep seeking a solution. I try to find a solution to the problem. Holy shit, I'm proud of myself for that. Right. You show up differently. That's my contrast. And it came in the form of my coach whooping my ass, but I'm grateful for that. Right. Here's someone that's achieved something I haven't achieved, and is allowing me and presenting me with contrast that normally I wouldn't get in a day if I was sitting on my couch watching Netflix. You know, what kind of contrast is that? Not the one I want. I'd rather have my guts smushed out and go, who am I? Who am I? Am I a man that quits, or I'm someone that pushes when things get tough? Yeah, exactly. I think that's a powerful duality. And that's what I hope this podcast can be, right? That's what we're trying to express.
And that should remind you too, like when you're going with somebody who's not as skilled as you, think about how it is when you roll with Victor, you know what I mean? With your professor. Like, if you're worried about, oh, I don't want to go hard on this guy or whatever. I mean, relatively, you know what I mean? But it's good to it's really good to put somebody in the cooker, man. Like, that's, like I was telling you the other day, sometimes I don't know if it's weird or what, but I would rather, for me, I mean, submission, you know, submissions are good, but sometimes, man, just pressuring somebody to where they want to break is even better. You know what I mean? So, you got to get going or something? Oh, yeah, man. So what was I saying? Oh yeah, just that sometimes it's better to pressure than, sometimes I feel better pressuring. I don't know what the fuck I was saying. I saw you doing this. I was like, I thought you were telling me to hurry up.
No, I was trying to tell you like this. Going. I didn't want to interrupt. Oh. My daughter's calling me to tell me to do something I was already going to do, you know?
Oh yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to not answer the call from the kid and go,
oh, I feel you. Yeah.
Sorry.
I got you. No, it's all good.
But yeah, taking it easy on people, right? You're removing opportunity for them to grow.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I was thinking about today is like, I'm not here to make things easier for you. I care about you too much. I'm going to ask you harder questions. I'm going to ask of you, right?
Yeah.
That's how I can be a better training partner for you. If I take it easy on you, like, oh yeah, I just let you get the submission. You're like, bro, what the fuck? Like, if I'm rolling with someone else, I'm not going to do that. I'm not learning anything. Resist, like, give me the resistance I require to grow. And the same thing goes in life. It's like, I want to be someone that calls out the best in you, not makes it easier for you, not makes you comfortable. I mean, like, bro, what are you contributing to make your life like this? You know, you're in a bad relationship. What's your part? What's your contribution? You're like, well, fuck, yeah, you're right. It's like, yeah, now let's get to work, right? Yeah, that's what it's about. You know, what's your contribution to? And like you said, like, hey, you're the one creating the life that you have. If you don't have something you want, it's on you. It's your responsibility.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah, and the as far as the when you were talking about comparison and it was comparison and some other word you're using. Contrast. An example of that, and parents will notice this too, but that's like when it's cold outside and like I'll go somewhere with my daughters or whatever, and it's to them it's cold for some reason. I don't fucking know that, to them it's cold out, but they keep mentioning it. God damn it. They keep mentioning that it's cold out, and they're just comparing it to, like, from what fucking perspective is it? Like, you mentioning it's cold out is not going to change the fucking weather. So, instead of comparing, then just enjoy the goddamn moment. You know what I mean? Just enjoy it. That made me think of that when you were saying that, because every time it's cold. Well, exactly. Well, comparison, right, is external. Yeah. Where's your focus? If you're comparing yourself to something external, it's not within. And that's where, with setting intentions every morning, I'm learning it from Brendan Bouchard, like, great dude to listen to. I'm really excited about the learning and growth. I get really excited about, like, digging into, like, when someone's like a good teacher like that, I just study everything. I just go. And so I'm going to be mentioning him a lot, probably. Just bear with me as I go down this rabbit hole. But it's like setting my intention and generating and creating the feelings and the energy I want to be putting out. And always bringing, if I get, like, my wife's in a mood or something, I'm like I take on hers because I'm comparing my external, and I'm focused there, and I'm trying to fix that, correct that, whatever. And I'm like, I'm responsible for my energy. So I'm staying focused here. And so what I'm trying to cultivate is love and lightheartedness and gratitude and connection. Whether she's participating in that or not, it's still up to me to do the inner stuff, not the external, right? And the same thing with jiu-jitsu. It's like, cool, you're working, you're passing or whatever. I don't care. Like, I'm going to give you the resistance that I want to give you. I'm not going to give you the resistance that you want to go with your game, right? Like last night when I was working this new move I was trying to do, I couldn't get it for shit. I'm like, God dang it, I was getting mauled. And I'm like, well, okay, I failed, but I'm eliminating that failure a little bit more every time, right? I'm just eliminate the shit that's not working for you in life. And most people don't want to face that shit or even acknowledge it, so you can't work on it, right? Yeah, exactly. Got to go to that. When I go to coach, I'm like, fuck, I suck at passing. He's going to expose that, but I got to eliminate this suck. I got to eliminate this suck somehow, and usually it's by sucking for a while, right? And so life is going to suck for a little while you clean up your bullshit, and be okay with that. Acknowledge yourself for your willingness to suck, and grow through this suck, right? Stop comparing yourself to other people that don't suck as much as you. What good is that? It's just external focus. There's that meme that we put up yesterday. It's a purple meme, and it's a Bruce Lee quote, and it says, "Adapt what is useful, reject what is useless, and add what is specifically your own." And that kind of relates to what you're saying right there, Hell yeah. And by the way, it's purple, and the fucking layout of our shit is dope because it's in the order of the belt colors. So every post we put up, it rotates through the belt colors, the theme of the post. So if you haven't checked it out, go check that shit out. Follow us, share our shit on your story. We'd appreciate it. @SoulRollers_JJ. Just want to throw that in there real quick. So yeah, man. But yeah, that Bruce Lee quote was pretty dope. Very good. Yeah. And then he had another quote under it that was, "Be happy but never satisfied." That was a good one too. So yeah, seriously. And blissful dissatisfaction, right? Is that okay? That's duality. That's contrast, right? Yeah, man. Because you tell me at a point in life, and recently I reflected on this. I'm like, holy shit. 4 years ago, I was dreaming about the shit I have in my life today, the life I'm living. This was the life I was dreaming of having. And I'm like, what the I've been like complaining and worried and stressed lately. What the fuck? Because I was externally focused and I wasn't internally reflecting on just how fucking great my life is and how blessed I am. The external fucks you up, man. That comparison game. Yeah. You and I could sit here and probably, list out
all the people in our academy that are better than us, or we can find everyone on the internet like Mike Mucci or whatever. We suck compared to him, right?
Yes.
Compared, right? But the
Yeah.
contrast is like, holy shit, I have all these amazing individuals to learn and grow from. They provide me with the most wonderful contrast and with all the guidance I could ever ask for to grow. All I got to do is be willing to struggle and strive towards a greater version of myself. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Let's get the fucking work, right?
Yeah. That's the power of gratitude. And you hear a lot of successful people talk about that. And before I get to that, if you want to grow in your life and you want some increase and expansion and you're not exactly where you want to be, you should definitely tune into some people who are where you want to be, to some successful people, because most successful people, I've noticed in our society, a lot of people have a negative viewpoint towards successful people. Oh, you could say that because you got all this money. But most people that I've come across who are highly successful are some of the coolest, most positive people on earth. And they are where they are because they're constantly giving value and they want to help people. They want the people around them to succeed. So what they do is they're constantly telling people how to succeed. So you go find people who are where you want to be and pay attention, and they'll be giving you clues. They're always telling you, this is how I do it. Focus on this, be grateful, surround yourself with positive people. And gratitude is a big one that's common amongst everybody who's successful. They'll talk about being grateful every day. Like you were saying, it's easy you look at your life and you're like, damn, when I was a cop, like for me, when I was a cop struggling, having a toxic marriage, fucking overweight a little bit, like just stressed out, depressed, fucking, having that job where I didn't even want to go because I just wasn't happy there anymore. I never could have looked around and been like, damn, in 6 years, I'll be, 5 minutes from the beach in San Diego. My full-time hustle will be doing what I love, which is podcasting. I'll be the healthiest I've ever been. I'll be doing something I love, training jiu-jitsu. That was only a dream at one point, and now I'm living that. And even though I'm living it, I can wake up every day and find things to complain about, and I can ruin the fucking dream that I'm living by being negative toward the external things. And that's where gratitude comes in every single day, giving thanks for the things, for where you are, where you've been, what you do have, and who you've become as a person. Because we can shatter our lives by not being grateful. Our whole lives can fall apart if we're not grateful for what we have. And it happens all the time to people.
Yeah. And it's funny, and you could back me up on this, is all the studying and personal development we've done, common sense is the way that success is from people, right? Like they say, be grateful. You're like, well, whatever. It becomes cheesy, like lines that people say. And so all the people that are trying to get success avoid all the secrets that are just common sense because they're not common practice. So it's like, what are the common practices that get you towards success? Gratitude, like how to schedule your day, having a morning routine, like have personal development, have discipline, all these things, right? And that's what most of the time people avoid all the advice of successful people ahead of them in life because it comes wrapped in common sense. Yeah, that's too simple. That's stupid. It's like, all right.
Yeah, no, you're just lucky.
Don't take the advice.
You're just successful because you're lucky. It just fell into place for you. Nope. Anyone can reach anything they want. Yeah. You got to take the steps.
Yeah. And when you take shortcuts and when you get something that you didn't earn, it's always detrimental. It's not a blessing. Right. Mm-hmm. That's what with checking in and reflection and gratitude that's a reflective process. And it really brings you to humility, and it brings you to the truth in the present moment of where you're at. And you realize, like, and I told my wife that yesterday, I'm like, literally there about 3-4 years ago, I was dreaming and I didn't even know a woman like you existed. I was literally trying to dream you up in my head. And I didn't know if I'd ever meet you. I didn't even know if you existed. And now I'm here living with you, creating a family with you. We're about to have a baby. How fucking blessed am I? Are you kidding me? And I'm like, you're the woman of my dreams, right? And that's not accidental. Like I put in effort to that. I really worked on myself for 2 years being single by myself, just working, doing therapy, men's work, all this different stuff on all these different issues I was having. I put in some work, right? Because I knew I needed to. I knew I was the common denominator of the issues that were creating in my life and the struggles I was facing. And most of those weren't voluntary struggles, right? I was suffering at the expense of myself because I was working a job that wasn't truly connected with who I wanted to be as a person, right? I thought my dream job was being a cop, but it wasn't, obviously. And it created a lot of suffering in my life because I went from one travesty, one external stressor to the next, right? I never did the inner work. And until you and I remember you bringing me that book. You remember I was sitting down, I think you were walking up, or vice versa.
That was the first time we really met.
Yeah.
The first time Jana had told us, hey, you guys should meet and talk.
Yeah.
And so I brought a gift. Yeah, I remember I brought you a gift.
Yeah, The Shift.
The Shift
by Wayne
Dyer. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, fuck, maybe I should start reading and start trying this and do that. And that's a deep book to read. You know what I mean?
For your first, bro, you took to that book though.
Development journal.
Bro, you were telling me, I remember though, you were reading it and you took to it. Cause I bring a lot of people books, you know, and I brought you that and I was like, oh, this motherfucker, cause you were hitting me up, like talking about the book, telling me about it. You were connecting what he was saying. And Wayne Dyer is really deep teacher on, you know, happiness and prosperity and success. And that book, The Shift, which I recommend to anybody, you know, who's listening, go pick up The Shift by Wayne Dyer. Really powerful shit, man. But I remember you took to that and I was like, fuck yeah. And then you just never, from there, you just kept buying books, man, and kept reading. And that was what, 6-7 years ago. And you're still reading your ass off. So,
well, even back then, dude, I didn't have the money to buy the books. I was broke. I was dead broke. I was in debt up to my eyeballs because the retirement process I was going through, it was terrible. And so I would go to the bookstore and read the books off the shelf and then put them back.
Yeah.
I would do whatever it took. I was listening to podcasts constantly. There's so much free content on podcasting. It's amazing. And I'm talking successful, highly successful people that are sharing really impactful training. If you're really stuck on something in life, I guarantee you there's a podcast on it. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
And you can learn and grow, and you could take and YouTube, like you're saying, dude, you know, for coaching and stuff, the coaches out there, the really phenomenal high performing coaches, they have hours upon hours upon hours of training that they're doing, or insights that they're sharing, or skill sets they're sharing. It's all there.
Just value that they're giving.
Yeah. You don't even have to buy the programs. You don't have to do anything. They give out tons of value, and I guarantee you will grow. Right.
Yeah. Yep. But do you want to dedicate yourself to growth? You know, like that's what we've done. We basically dedicated ourselves to growth for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, studying instead of watching bullshit on TV, man, still to this day, man. And I will fucking 100%, you know, like, I don't know if, people think you're crazy even, but they're also stuck. Like for me, I do not watch TV. If there's a good fight on, I'll watch a good fight once every couple months, you know, or my daughter wants to watch something with me. Like we want to watch a movie together. We'll go see a movie, but I never sit down to watch TV. If I have the time to sit down, I don't know if it's fucking neurosis or something, but I sit down and I'm learning something. I sit down and I'm learning something that's going to make me better. No matter what, I'm addicted to learning how to be a better person, and I dedicate my life to it.
Well, the struggles for me with that is, and I'm going to be very vulnerable about that because you brought it up, is I have also, like, in avoidance of like doubts or fears I have of myself, I've tried to push myself as a learner, sometimes in avoidance of rest and recovery. You know, on Sundays, I don't have jujitsu. There's and it's kind of like my free day to kind of catch up, schedule my week, get back on track, and just take it easy. And it's really hard for me to rest, man. I don't like resting. I don't like not reading or learning or doing something. I'm like, dude, go swim with your kids or something. Just go take a walk, go relax. And like, it makes me, that's contrast that I need. I need to like be better at resting, because that's just as important as growing and learning and pushing. And it's it's the same, it's two sides of the same coin, right? Like we need that too. So I'm calling myself on that. I struggle with resting. I don't know how to rest at times.
And that's a big part of, and you can probably attest to this, studying personal growth and studying successful people. They'll all tell you to fucking rest. They'll all tell you to unplug. Matter of fact, when I was talking to that holistic doctor who is highly recommended by this black belt that I know, she's up an hour. I drove an hour to see her, an hour north to Temecula. But one of the prescriptions, she gave me a bunch of stuff to do just to be more holistically fucking sound, you know, on top of those B12 vitamins. But one was turn off your phone at a set time each night, 2 hours before you go to sleep. And one was unplug completely 1 day per week. Like on a Sunday, turn off your phone, turn your alerts off, turn everything off. Don't fucking learn shit. Don't do shit. But, you know, just enjoy silence in your life and your family 1 day per week, you know, and that'll help you all around in general, spiritually, mentally, you know.
Yeah. Me and my wife, we went in March for her birthday, which I think is the catalyst for the pregnancy, but what do I know? We went to Belize, and the room, like literally you stepped off the steps into the sand. The beach was right there. Like that was our little cabin or little jungle hut that we were staying at. No TV in it. You know, all those hotel rooms come with TV and movie channels and all that shit. It's like, fucking stop putting TVs in fucking hotel rooms and shit. Go. And we left, we went to the beach, we went on to the, we walked around, we explored. It was beautiful, man. And I'm so grateful that there's no fucking electronics in that room. Well, now we're pregnant, we're gonna have a baby, but you know what I mean? Like, great. Well, so be it. But
you filled your time with something more fun.
Literally, like we checked back the dates, and it was like literally like she became pregnant on her birthday. It's like,
but that's what you should name that baby. That middle name, Belize. That's a dope name, actually. Think what you're talking about there. When I lived on Kauai, beautiful place, man. Beautiful place to adventure. Like, if you want to be an adventurer and find some fucking cool, beautiful fucking dude, it's one of the most remote islands on earth. Kauai. It's the furthest Hawaiian island that's habitated. Is that the word? Habitat? Habitual?
Yeah.
Fuck. Yeah. But people live on that motherfucker, but the funny part is there's like some really nice resorts there, and people fly the fucking 5 hours out there to go to Hawaii, and they sit by the pool in their fucking resort the whole time, and that's the thing. Like, you go into Hawaii to sit in a resort, when come with me and I'll show you the fucking, I'll show you the beauty of this place, man. You're missing out. You're totally missing out on everything by just sitting there drinking fucking Mai Tais, looking at a pool when you're on Hawaii. So I just want to call out the people who do that. You guys need to switch it up. If you're going to Hawaii or anywhere, if you're traveling somewhere, there's no point to travel and sit at a hotel and watch TV. You can do that shit at your house. Like, I can do that here all day. I don't, but the weather's nice here. Why would I travel if I'm going to go do that? Go get out and figure it out.
Here's a quick story about traveling. My first experience out of the country, I went to Bangkok, Thailand, and my buddy was there teaching. And I went there, and then he went back to work and started doing his teaching. And so I had the day to myself. And man, was I stressed. I was nervous. I was very activated, my PTSD and all that shit. And I remember getting up, leaving the hotel, going down, a bunch of times to try to leave. And I was just so nervous. I went back to my hotel and I'm like, fuck, okay. All right, I'm going to do this. And fucking, I finally just said, fuck it. I went and got on the train and shot off and started exploring. Dude, I had the most fantastic day, dude. I found this fucking beautiful park. And the parks there, they're not like parks here. They don't have barbecue pits in them and trash cans and all this nastiness, like people partying and playing loud music. The parks there are so serene and so peaceful and so beautiful and quiet somehow. It was like the external noises of the traffic and everything else outside the park couldn't penetrate the park somehow. And dude, there was like these like lazy rivers going all through the park. And I was walking all through that freaking thing. And there's like those dragon lizard things in the water and shit. Fucking terrifying little Godzilla lizards everywhere, dude. I was like, man, I'm gonna go meditate by the water right here. And I looked over and this big ass fucking lizard was right. I'm like, holy shit, never mind. I'm not gonna get eaten by that motherfucker. And so I just kept walking around. I was just enjoying the park and the people. It was funny. I came across a guy that was sleeping with his bare feet right near the water. I'm like, are you nuts, dude? It was even more funny as I was walking along the edge of the water all through the park.
Yeah.
And there was this old man that was just sitting peacefully, like just really serene right next to the water in a chair. And what I didn't notice, like right next to him was one of those giant ass lizards, giant motherfucker, and just chilling right next to him. And his energy, his vibration or whatever it was so peaceful that the thing didn't even care. But as soon as I walked by, kind of neurotic and nervous and working through my shit, it jolted at me. And I'm like, whoa, fuck. And he just kind of he opened his eyes and he looked at me and giggled. It was just this peaceful old dude. He saw like, all right, young guy, you're working through it. You'll be here someday, maybe. I don't know. But he was so peaceful. I'm like, bro, he can just chill by mean, weird lizards and they don't even bug him because he's so peaceful. My neurotic ass is walking around those like lizards are trying to punk me and shit. And I'm like, damn. It was an amazing experience. I was so blown away. And it came from traveling and getting out of my comfort zone.
Yeah. That's a couple things, of course. The first one is I remember you sent me like a video, Marco Polo, of those big ass lizards, those are big. He's talking big lizards, not like geckos and shit. He's talking about like dog sized lizards, like big ass fucking Komodo dragons and shit walking around in the park, and the way that the lizard reacted to you, and the energy, a couple things about that. For one, that's really a metaphor for that lizard is life. That lizard is definitely the world outside of us, and it reacts to you based on your energy. You know what I mean? And I experienced something like that one time I hiked up into the mountains and I had like a kind of like a sacred mushroom ceremony, like with psilocybin mushrooms, for really in-depth introspection, man. And you know, I was sitting there in so much peace. I was just meditating, and I was sitting there, and fucking animals come up to you and shit when you're in that much peace. There was like this squirrel, like this baby squirrel, like it had a nut in his hand. The motherfucker just came up. It just walked right up to my feet and was holding a nut, looking at me, bro. And I was like, I'm in a Disney movie. This is really happening. And I was realizing, I was like, my energy right now, he trusts me. He trusts my energy. He's reading my energy. We're communicating through energy. And he just came right up. Another weird thing was, I'm sitting there and a bird, and I'm in this zone of like just connection, relax, like a motherfucker, connected in love, just feeling love. And this bird, you know how hummingbirds hover?
Yeah.
Hummingbirds can hover. Well, other birds do that shit too. They just don't show humans. Like I'm sitting there fucking meditating over this goddamn lake, and this bird comes up. It's like a sparrow, you know? And the fucking sparrow comes up like 2 feet from my face and pulls a hummingbird. Like this sparrow is a big bird, and he comes up and he just starts fucking hovering in front of my face, like making eye contact with me for like 35 seconds, you know? And I knew exactly what was happening. I'm like, this is because I'm so at one. I'm so peaceful right now. These animals are trusting me. How often does that happen when you're just fucking walking around with your uptight self, you know? And back to what I was saying, the metaphor, man, those animals is because everything's connected anyway. We're all energy, man. E equals MC squared. All matter is energy. All matter is energy. Everything is energy. So, you know, the world outside of us will always match our vibe, man. Like I always say. And that's when you said that story, I'm like, man, that's a great metaphor for life. That lizard is the world around you, man. And it reacts to what you're putting out 100% of the time.
Yeah.
You know?
And my life is completely different from that time till now, truly. And that's amazing. You know, and there's still work to be done. I haven't even got started yet in the truth of it. So grateful. Yep. Yeah. And dude,
yeah.
we got to all like cultivate that inner Bambi like spirit that you had.
Snow White.
Called those fucking animals too. Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's some Snow White shit. Mm-hmm.
But hell yeah, dude. Dude, I don't know. You got anything else? You know,
I think we're good, man. I think we're good. That was fun. That was a good talk, man.
Yeah, I'm grateful for it.
Episode. Yeah, me too, man.
Cultivate some great gratitude in your life. Definitely.
Yeah. Cultivate every day. Every day, look around and look at the things you can be grateful for, where you were, where you've been, where you are, where you're going. Even a little trick to throw in there is to cultivate gratitude for your vision, for where you know you're headed. You know, the things that you are manifesting in your life. Like we have to be grateful for those too, because you know, whatever it may be.
And remember, like where you're at now is a part of that journey. It's just as important. You know, it's like you plant a seed and then it grows into a beautiful flower. Where is it the most important? What's the most important part? Like, where is it most valuable? All of it's valuable, every aspect of it. So grateful for this moment, grateful for the vision that you're moving towards, the contrast that creates in your life to help you grow, for all the support systems and the people in your life helping you become all that. Dude, and one of the goals I have every day, which I've struggled with for a long time now, which is why I was so externally focused, is to cry from gratitude every day, right? How can I be so grateful that I cry? You know, that's a joyous feeling, but it's an inner experience.
Right on. And that's a good, and if you can't, you can just, like if I was there and you couldn't cry, you could be like, hey, I haven't cried yet. Can you just punch me in my stomach? And I'll be like, yeah, I'll make you cry, motherfucker. Come here. I'll peep kick your ass in the balls. Crying now, bitch.
Yeah. Real spiritual comparison there.
Yeah,
but definitely. And if you have never really done much with gratitude, expect to suck at it, and that's okay, right? Just like with jiu-jitsu, you got to expect to suck and be okay with that. Like begin working, because most people are like, we're all stressed out and lonely and depressed or whatever's going on in this world right now. We have that like reaction to life of the lizard. You know what I mean? So expect it to be a little bumpy in the beginning, because gratitude isn't easy to cultivate, because we're never like, so many of us don't focus internally. We're so focused on the outside. So it's like, well, and when gratitude becomes an internal experience, that's when you start crying. That's when you start having those elevated emotions, those higher vibrations. Right.
Yeah, man.
So, or just have someone kick you in the nuts.
Yeah. That
skip the process, shortcut it.
And this is, I'm not going to go too deep into this, but into physics and things like that. But we're taught from a young age, it's called the Newtonian model. We're taught that energy, we're taught that everything, we live in a world of matter. And when we're taught that we live in a world of matter, we develop this system in our mind that we're separate from other things. And when you believe you're separate from other things, it's very hard to obtain those things, But like I said earlier, the Einstein's theory of relativity equals MC squared. He was saying that all matter is energy. And when you realize that all matter is energy, you realize you're not separate from anything. everything is fucking energy. If you're energy and I'm energy at our base and this table is energy, me and you are on the same fucking, we're the same fucking thing. We're already connected. So that's where the gratitude for the future comes in. Because if you feel like you're separate from your future will remain separate from you. But when you begin to give gratitude for a future that you're already connected with, then it becomes part of your life. So if that kind of explains it for you
it does.
On a
it's
level.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And I like, one thing is, hope is powerful if used correctly, and so if you struggle with gratitude, maybe you're really in a bad spot in life, find reverence with just being alive. Like that's been something I cultivated, in my struggles with PTSD, is like, after that violent career, honestly, like I really almost lost sense of like the value of life. Like it's such a precious thing. The fact that you have breath, the fact that you exist, like that should be revered. Like, I'm just so grateful that I'm alive. Look at what we went through. Like, there's sometimes I kind of laugh, like, what the fuck? Like, what kind of joke is it that I made it through half that shit? Like, there was times kicking doors and doing shit we were doing. It's like, oh, hope it works out. Like, I had no clue what was going to happen. And it was not in our favor that it was going to work out well. It was probably more odds were against us, and yet here we are. So start there. Just, it's baby steps, right? Just, can you just be like, wow, like I'm so blessed just to exist, like to breathe, like, wow, what a blessing. Right. And then maybe those other steps become, like you're saying, that deeper inner practice of like really cultivating these things. It's like, and understanding that Newtonian like logic and like how we approach life, all that stuff starts to shift, and it'll bring in these practices, these common practices. They have to become practice. You have to practice this shit to get better. You have to practice jujitsu to get better. That means you have to show up. You have to suck. Be willing to suck. Be willing to struggle.
Yeah.
You're worth it. You're worth it.
And then a common practice, really quickly, as you were talking, is just to invite gratitude into your life through a deep breath. Like, just, we forget to do that. Even right now, we're talking, like, if I take, like, I'll take a deep breath right now and it will change how I'm feeling. Wait, hold on, everybody. Here I go with my deep breath. William, would you like to join me for a deep breath? Deep breath time. Everybody, deep, if you're listening, deep breaths. Everybody take a deep breath now. All ready?
Getting high on life, right?
Yeah, man. That in itself right there. And as you exhale, you give thanks. Take a deep breath, stop throughout the day, breathe. I'm alive, motherfucker. I'm alive on this earth. This is my journey. This is my adventure. I can make whatever I want of it. I'm connected to all of it. I can create anything I want in my life. Everything comes to me easily and often. Money comes into my life easily and often. The person of my dreams are already coming toward me right now. We're walking toward each other. The job that I'm looking for, the career, the entrepreneurship, the business, it's all there. I just have to accept it and, match its vibration. And we do that just from the beginning, just from breathing and giving thanks daily, so that's a practice you can just bring into your life on a daily basis, with the gratitude. Just start there. You're alive, breathe, give thanks for that breath. Makes you feel better.
Yeah. And acknowledge the duality, right? Like, by cultivating that voice of gratitude and reverence, you can start to kind of lessen and dampen the voice of negativity and judgment and conditioning that we've been cultivating for most of our lives, right? That causes the stress. So it's just about balancing, it's like the two wolves inside you, that old story. It's like, which one wins, whichever one you feed, So
yeah,
we can do this all day, us. So let's call it.
All right. Well,
love you guys. Good. I love you. Grateful for you, man. So grateful for doing this podcast with you. Everything.
Thank you, man. Yeah. Make sure you guys leave us a rating, review, share this with anybody who may want to hear it. And Soul Rollers, or at Soul Rollers _JJ. Check it out. Instagram, share what we put up on your story. We really appreciate that. We see you if you're doing it. We appreciate you. Like, anytime someone shares our shit, we know, we appreciate it greatly. So thank you. And we will reconvene next week. And that was a good conversation. I enjoyed that, man. That was a good one. Let's keep
going. Good shit, man.
Oh yeah.
So, all right. Have a good week. Everybody take care.
See you guys. Love you.
Take care. Love you, man. Peace.
Bye.